Today I'm going to be sharing on three pieces. The first is Obama gave a talk for graduates, and this is what he shared. He said, like to each of us, do what I think is right. I will make mistakes, but listen to myself, even when it's hard or inconvenient. People will notice, they'll gravitate. And that's called being part of a solution, not a problem. He says, don't be afraid. Challenges teach and strengthen us. And build community. 3, do things together, stand up for one another, being alive to the struggle of others, leave behind the divisive beliefs. Unite and unify. And then I wanted to share there's some values we could learn from the ants, like King Solomon actually spoke a little bit about ants in the Torah, and we learned that they have a tracking memory. They are serious workers. They're into the purpose, the goal. They're highly sensory, and they desire a role and belonging. And they almost have like this anarchist hierarchy, except save for the queen. They're into optimization. They understand about collective and the hive, sharing, collaborating. They have abundance, and they reduce shame. They're very open. And then I'm going to talk now about feminine and masculine, the two sides. So feminine is slow, soft, and dark. Masculine is fast, hard, and light. And we all have both feminine and masculine. I'm not saying men and women here. We could say feminine is usually women, masculine is usually male. Mystery, yin. Then we have the masculine is logic, yang. Then we have the moon for feminine, the sun for masculine. We have descending for feminine, masculine, elevating. Then we have feminine is collective and embodiment. Masculine is individual and transcendence. Feminine could be stillness, like we think of the womb, it's like gestating, versus the masculine is like activity. Feminine is restoration and receptivity. Masculine is productivity and pushing. Feminine is right here, landing and earthy. Masculine is going to destination and heady. Then we have feminine is the refuge, masculine is warrior, feminine is acceptance, masculine is driven, feminine is submission, masculine is endurance. And I want to give an example of what an apology is, to really receive like the self that is able to be growing all the time. And it is, I hear you, I understand I was wrong, I know what I did hurt you and it didn't stop me, I did what I wanted and it didn't stop me. To know that it would affect you. I consciously did damage, which means I sinned against you, and the consequences I caused didn't stop me. It was an intentional act that was destructive. The reason I'm sharing this is because we're in the month of Elul, which is where we prepare for the high holidays or judgments, and we actually want to make no attachments with anyone, no punishments, no hard feelings. We want to let go of projections that people want to hurt or, that cause us to defend why we may. Anyway, continuing, I'm owning it so I can ask you for forgiveness. What can I do to be better in the future? You're such a good, there's a friend, a family member, a confidant. And I'd like to, and even though I had a lot going on, I think you're worth it, and I'd like to do and be more for you from now on. You deserve a relationship as much of a blessing as what you provide me. So I'd like some feedback on how to be a better friend to you, and or lover, or colleague. And I recognize that I was behaving thoughtlessly without awareness, and now that I have more insight, I'm willing and able to improve in my consideration and treatment of you. Please accept my acknowledgement of how I took advantage and ignorance of your loving kindness. I'm a work in progress and do know better now. And finally, I want to share how to stay positive. I learned this from the when I was attending an Overeaters Anonymous meeting. How to celebrate everything different, no matter how small. To be who I am now, everything starts somewhere, and that God and I are working well together today. It's like we're on the same side. To thank people and appreciate their time, to stay open, to have patience, and there's no urgency requirement that includes other people. And finally, I learned from this group at Integral Yoga Institute, we talked about, it's like in a holistic way, being yoked to conscious, expansive awareness. And satsang they do together was like a truth group, almost like congregation, like collaboration, like getting together to speak of the truth, to heal, to grow. So we talked about the field of abundance, that there's nothing to hold on to because we can always be in the field of sharing and receiving, and to look at the gift of other is for the sake of uniting. It takes when we give and share freely, right? So it takes courage to reflect. But that's what having an other is, like a mirror. And versus this, other is like something that flows endlessly. I am of it. I flow endlessly. It can come through anyone. When we're fulfilled by the fullness within, and of the fullness out there. When we receive, we learn to let go. And this is like counteracting the acquisition impulse, which is to fill the void, the promise of satisfaction. But we can ask ourselves, how do I feel now? And usually it's like, maybe I'm an empty treasure chest, like I'm not in touch with my treasure, chas v'shalom, which means that would be a violation of the wholeness, the peace. So then we could kind of, like, when we're in the pursuit acquisition mindset, we could say, like, I need to get a treasure from the outside. No, it's on the inside. So we ask ourselves, what's the long-term effect? If we have the desire for freedom from attachment, we're going to want to question anything that enslaves us. And a baby, for example, just has the basic needs. It's primal, it's survival. They need to be met, and they can come from anywhere. And there's a bliss state that happens every time, once they're fed, once they're changed, once they're held. And there's this unhealthy attachment that could happen, which it hurts me or someone else when we're not even connecting with that bliss state anymore. So we get this elasticity from mourning and wanting while witnessing that. We become elastic to be able to tolerate not having or losing, or, either way. And yet we could still keep our interests of others and the group and it without actually possessing or owning, like just in self-interest. And they talk about this thing called lila, which it's not necessary, because in Hebrew it has a different meaning in a different, like Lila means night, but then there's Lily. I don't say her whole name. It's like Lily, and then I'm making a space in between the rest of it, but it's th at the end, or t. And this is like the element of the dark feminine that was wounded, or the inner. But it doesn't have to be that way. In a time of redemption, we could actually learn how to use that as to play and have fun. And I'll end with that and wish you a good Shabbos if you observe. And all the best to everybody. Wishing you good desire, passion enlivened from the Creator, and strength, really strength, a reminder of the strength. And it's not to feel like an empty treasure chest, but to be in a state of soothing and calm, like that blissed out baby, which is called shalva in Hebrew.